Also, its memory management philosophy makes the code pretty safe to run. You don't have the same kind of dangers that you have in C++.
Danger. Danger.
Yeah. So it kind of keeps it contained, and it kind of keeps it relatively safe to run. It's not going to sort of like boost its way into the space of another application and other things like that. The language design has a very intuitive interface for auto-completing.
Mm-hmm.
So just the way that the language flows, the way that the language, kind of like the rhythm that it's spoken, so to speak, gives you a very intuitive interface for okay, I want a, and you kind of start typing, and it kind of auto completes the rest of the way. You have like a very intuitive way of what you would expect to come next. This dot that dot this,
Mm-hmm.
is very much what you would expect is generally what you'll find.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like sometimes, especially in Objective C, you'll have very strange naming conventions.
Objective C bashing hour is what we have here.
Yeah, maybe I'll just stop comparing it to that. But anyway, it also has integrated security if you're in the Windows realm of things, which is really nice.
Oh,
so
it's
instead
so
of having to,
convenient.
Oh yeah, so instead of having to build up your whole, user authentication system, basically if you're in an Active Directory, you can just say this group of users have access to that thing.
Yep.
And you're done. You don't even think about it.
Absolutely. And the beauty about that is you don't have to have different sets of credentials if you're building applications, which any of you guys that work in large companies know that is just the worst thing ever.
Right.
So now let's talk about some of the bads. Now, we came up with more goods than bads because, to be brutally honest, I believe, and I think Brian does as well, that there are a lot more goods than bads in this language. The bad is it's very Microsoft focused. Now, you can say that's a good or a bad, but the reason why you can almost categorize it in a bad is because a lot of the new cutting edge APIs and stuff like that are often ported into the Microsoft land first. Any other platform is an afterthought, if it even comes at all.
Right.
So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that Microsoft is always going to get the first push for any technology with this framework. Developers are also somewhat limited to the language design, which those of you guys that come from Java and languages like that, that's not necessarily a terrible thing, but one of the big things that we kind of see is it has the ability to stunt the growth of programmers. Kind of like how if you smoke a pack of cigarettes a day, you're like 13, you might not grow as tall. Well, C# is the equivalent of that, because like if you start using C# at too young of an age, C and C++ are going to be very scary to you, because C# is so intuitive, it's so quick. Oftentimes when I'm writing stuff in C#, I can literally write as fast as I can think it. And I can speak out loud. I'm going to select this from here, then I'm going to run here, I can literally code as fast as I'm speaking. And having that convenience, if you start there, going to other languages can sometimes be very difficult.
Right, and one of the things that it tends to the difficulties of other languages sometimes make you a little more aware of the overall structure of the application.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when it's that easy to code, you can tend to just sort of march your way through things and have these very long private methods, for example, which can be difficult to break apart, difficult to unit test on, difficult to do a lot of things, and then have a much higher impact when you do code changes to logical errors in other sections,
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes those can be tricky, but it's a very easy thing to get out of once you just simply break yourself out of the convenience of it.
Mm-hmm. And also, because of the overhead of the actual runtime environment, it does slow down performance. There is a pretty substantial mathematically performance hit compared to languages like C, which have very little.
Right. But similar to other languages, you can always write libraries in C and import them into C#.
That's true, and we
very
have
easily.
examples of that coming up, which is going to be great.
Yeah.